Wow. Ooh.
Welcome back to Jared Pro Shop Vids, everyone. Another urethane vid. This one is urethane truly for everyone? There's been a lot of advice, a lot of videos made about how urethane is really good for two-handed players and players with a lot of rev rate. But what about everybody else? And so today, everybody else is Simoo. Simoo's gonna be throwing the pitch black, the UC3, and a reactive ball here, the idle Helios. His style is more reminiscent of your average league bowler, and we're gonna see if the urethane ball is really needed in everybody's bag. Simoo is going to be testing it on two different patterns. We got house condition, 42-foot carbon, 10-to-1, lots of dry boards on the outside, lots of oil in the middle. Very close to your typical house shot you're going to see at most bowling alleys. He will also be testing these balls on 36 feet Pegasus, which is a shorter challenge condition, and we're going to see how these balls react with his playing style as well. So as seen in our previous videos, pitch black, more like your traditional urethane, like 1970s technology, very early, very smooth, very controllable, doesn't hook that much. And then we have like a newer technology urethane here with a big asymmetric core and a pearl cover stock, so this is gonna hook way more than the pitch black here. And then we also have a reactive resin ball, the Idle Helios by Rotogrip, and we're gonna see how all these react with Simoo. Huge thanks to all our members. Had a couple new members join this week, so if you wanna be a member of our community, learn how to bowl your best, hit that join button below. Stay tuned to the end of the video. We're going to find out if urethane is truly for everyone. Simoo, to the lanes.
Hey guys, Simoo finally back in front of the camera. So excited to be filming today. We're going to be exploring if low rev players need urethane, or in other words, is urethane really necessary for guys like me who throw it with a little bit less hand than the other guys on the team. So I have the pitch black today, the Rubicon UC3, and the Idle Helios, and we'll start off with the pitch black. We got the Lucky 9 house shot, good old 42-foot carbon here. It's my first ball on this lane, so just going to try to get a feeler for where I should stand. So first ball there, super light, got it into the oil a little bit quick, so I'm going to try to throw this one a little bit more right, get it into the dry so it can roll and hook a little bit earlier and hopefully get back to the pocket. Closer. Ooh! Thought I'd get a hit there, but I didn't. So you can see right away with the pitch black, it doesn't have that same amount of back end that reactive balls give you. It rolls super early, and because of that, it doesn't drive through the pins as nicely. So that one was close. I'm going to try to throw one more with the pitch black before we move on to the next ball. So another pretty good ball there, but you can tell I'm really having to slow down and really try to hit it a lot at the end to try to get that back into the pocket. I think balls like the pitch black aren't necessarily meant for house shots just because it has a really hard time fighting through the oil and it uses most of its energy by the time it hits the pins. All right, next we're moving on to the Rubicon UC3. You might have seen Jamal throw it in his last urethane battle, and you saw he really liked the words violent motion, or violent back end.
That's a violent snap off the back end, a violent snap from the Rubicon UC3.
Very violent. So we think this ball isn't just urethane, it might have some reactive pearl additive, so hopefully it hooks a little bit more than the pitch black. So threw that one out right, but you saw just how many more boards that ball covered. I thought I lost it. With the pitch black, that probably would have taken 6 off the right if I got lucky, but you can see just how many more boards this covers. So I'm gonna try to move a little bit left. Hopefully we can throw another strike. It's better. So really light. You could see on the 42 feet pattern that it's having a little bit of trouble getting down lane and really turning that corner. With urethane, you could tell that you want to get it to the friction early so it can really make that hard left turn. But the more you move into the oil, you can really tell that these urethane balls struggle, especially for lower rev players like me. So let's throw one more. I like this reaction a lot more than the pitch black. Hopefully we can flush one and then move on to the idle Helios. A little bit more left, slower speed. We'll get going. So like that one there, you could tell that that's probably the sweet spot, getting the ball out as early and as quickly as I can. But again, with the urethane, it's just so hard to move left and feel confident that it's going to make that turn. So finally, let's move on to some reactive and throw the idle Helios. So this one is a Sim Solid we have from Roto Grip. It's been basically in my bag since the day it came out, and I use it every single time I bowl. So definitely expecting to see a lot more hook and a lot more continuation compared to the urethane. So pretty good for the first shot. So even though I left a 7-pin there, you could tell compared to the urethane, it's digging just that little bit more and hooking even a little bit harder. So I'm gonna try to make a small move off of that last shot, hopefully try to flush it. So 2 ring 10s there, pretty unfortunate hits. But on the bright side, it definitely gives me a lot more miss room, especially on the house shot. These 2, there's no way they would have come back. So I think that's where the beauty of reactive really lies for lower rep players, especially on mid to longer type of patterns. All right, let's strike for real this time. There it is. So if I were to bowl for score on this pattern, definitely would go with the Helios. I can move my feet left a lot more confidently, kind of chase the pattern in. And as you saw, kind of getting to the pocket was a lot easier, even though I didn't get that many hits. So let's move on to the short pattern. We got 36-foot Pegasus over on the right lane. All right, question time with Simoo. So obviously this video is meant for lower rev players trying to explore urethane. Personally, I'm about a 325, 330 rev bowler, and I have a couple urethane balls as you see. So my question for you is, what's your rev rate? And do you have any urethane bowling balls? Let us know which ones you have down in the comments below. All right, done with the house shot. Moving on to the short pattern. 36-foot Pegasus, and I think the urethane balls are really gonna shine here. Gonna get it to that dry a little bit earlier, and then really control the pocket. At least that's the plan. So start again with pitch black. Try to play close to the gutter. So definitely tug that one left, but you see the beauty of urethane there? It definitely holds its line a lot better than any reactive would. It's a lot more smooth and controllable, and even though I threw a bad shot, it still held its line to the pocket. So again, trusty pitch black. Had this one for a couple years now, bring it to most, if not every tournament. Another good one there. You can see you're not going to get that big left turn, that big hockey stick motion, especially on the short pattern with low revs, but it still gets that little bit of the turn that you need just to create the right entry angle into the pocket. Wow. Throwing the ball awful, everything is getting tugged left, but I'm also getting really, really good breaks. And that's why you throw it on short, right? It rolls out super early, but it's a lot more controllable. I haven't left any splits, and for players who might be more afraid of the gutter or throwing it out right and leaving stuff like washouts, I have the confidence that I can miss it a little bit in, and I'm not gonna leave the big four or Greek church or anything like that. So let's throw one more with the pitch black. So far, very impressed with it on the short pattern here, and then we can move on. So threw that one in a much better spot. You saw kind of a light mixer strike, but you saw the best of both worlds. When I tug it left, it holds its line, and when I throw it properly, it still gets back to the pocket with that little bit of hook that it gets from the short pattern. So pitch black was great for me on the short pattern, even though I didn't throw it my best. And to me, that's really important. So now let's see how the Rubicon UC3 fares. Ooh! So you can tell there, the UC3 with the pearl additive, I could throw it way more right than I did with the pitch black, and it still almost came back to the pocket. So kind of seeing that back end motion, it gives me a lot of confidence that I can move further right and keep inching it closer to the gutter. So let's try to throw a better shot here. Hopefully we can get all 10. That's a really good one there. Really happy with how I threw that one and how it went through the pins. So looking at the Rubicon or the pitch black, it's really nice to have that choice. The UC3 gives me a little bit more motion, suits my eye a little bit better, but the pitch black is just so controllable and I know what it's gonna do. Let's throw another one with the UC3. After throwing that a couple times, I feel really good. On the short pattern, I can pitch it out right and really trust that it's gonna read the right part of the lane and make it back to the pocket. So we've seen Urethane on the short pattern, definitely throwing it a lot better than on the house shot. But let's see how Reactive fares. Gonna play as similar as I can to what I did with the UC3. So really good comparable line there. But you saw the Helios just digs so much earlier and turns a lot harder. So that's good if I can get it into the right spot. But my worry with throwing Reactive on the shorter pattern is if I miss it a little bit in, it's gonna go through the face just because we see that much more defined motion and it's not as controllable. So let's move left, keep it in that pocket area. Make this look like a house shot. With Reactive, I really like playing out to the right, closer to the gutter. But with Reactive, I can have that trust that it will get back to the pocket, even though it may come a little bit high. So that was a really good shot. I want to see what the UC3 does on that exact same line. Wow, so I wasn't expecting such a good shot there, even when I moved my feet a little bit left. I could throw the ball right and it came back to the pocket. And I think with the UC3 especially, there's a couple reasons. First, it's an asymmetric core compared to the Helios, which we know is symmetric. And also it has a little bit of that pearl additive, so it's not just urethane. So that made the ball hook a lot later, which gave us that much more defined shape down lane. So I think we've established that if we want to move left, we kind of have to go with either the idle or the UC3. So let's just go back and forth between them and inch left and see what looks better. Good 9, really good 9. We might be starting to see that point of no return for the Reactive ball. Getting left into the oil on the short pattern, it's using its energy so early that it kind of doesn't have enough to get back to the pocket. Let's see what the UC3 has on the same line. That's so gross. I'm gonna throw one more. I wanna see the ball strike. Don't we all? That's right. As you saw, it didn't use its energy as early as the Helios there. So one more good one. Let's try to strike from there. So you saw there, compared to the Helios, I think that UC3 is a better ball just because of that pearl plus urethane kind of cover. It doesn't burn up, it doesn't use its energy quite as easy, and it still makes that good turn left. But also knowing myself, I know that I don't want to find myself that far left, especially on a short pattern. I'd much rather prefer playing up the right side with a ball like the pitch black. So let's go back to it, throw a strike. Back to the shop. All right, I'm back from the lanes. Threw a couple really good shots, had some pretty bad breaks, and as usual, threw a couple bad shots. But let's talk about it. We started on our house shot. That's 42-foot carbon here. And I think it's pretty safe to say that for lower rev players like myself, Reactive is definitely the way to go. We saw, starting with the pitch black here, that there wasn't that traditional kind of misroom that you saw on the right side, where you can swing it right and it would come back to the pocket, or you could miss inside and it would hold. This ball is just kind of flat on house patterns. It rolls out super early and it doesn't have that pop that you want to see when you're trying to shoot big scores. We then moved on to the Rubicon UC3. We saw a little bit more continuation, but again, you had to be pretty accurate. You couldn't move too far inside, otherwise the ball would just get lost and you get stuck leaving a lot of flat shots, maybe some 2.810s, washouts, and you don't really want to see that. It wasn't until we got to the Reactive with the Idle Helios, probably my favorite ball out of my arsenal right now, where you're really able to open up the lane. With Reactive, you can move your feet a little bit left, and you can really trust that it's going to read in the right spot of the lane, and hook if you miss it a little bit right, and push if you miss it a little bit in. You saw even when I threw a bad shot with the Helios here, I still got it to the pocket and left 9, and always a makeable spare. On the other hand, if you throw a bad shot with Urethane, you're lucky to get out with a spare. So when you throw Reactive on the house shot, which I would recommend doing, you create a lot more miss room for yourself, and it just makes the sport a lot more enjoyable. Then we moved on to 36-foot Pegasus. It's a challenge pattern, so lower ratio, which means it's a little bit more difficult. And as we expected, that's where these balls truly shined. You saw here, starting with the pitch black, that I tugged a couple shots in, but it still held pocket really nice. And even when I threw it in the right spot, a little bit more right, it still had that little bit of motion and was able to make it back to the pocket. I think I threw 4 in a row straight out of the gate with a pitch black, so it would probably be the first ball that I would take out if I needed to bowl for scores. Then I moved on here to the Rubicon UC3. And I think you really got the best of both worlds on the short pattern between the Urethane and the Reactive. With the big ASIM core and the Pearl cover stock in addition to the Urethane, I was able to move my feet left, throw it to the right, and really see that downlane motion that suits my eye. It felt super controllable, super predictable, which I really like, especially on a short pattern where you're trying to control the pocket. It felt really good if I got it out right with higher ball speed, or even as I slowly inched it more left, to try to open up my angles. So overall, the UC3 here definitely gave me the motion that I like to see while still maintaining that sense of control and predictability. And then moving on to the Idle Helios here, we kind of saw an opposite reaction with the house shot, where these I had to be very accurate with, and this gave me a lot more miss room. These actually gave me a lot more miss room on the short, and this one I needed to be very precise with. Because of the solid reactive cover, it was a lot more sensitive to friction. It'd be really good if I got it into the right spot, but if I missed it left, it would overreact and go through the face. And if I moved my feet left and tried to swing it out right, it would use up its energy a little bit quick and not get back to the pocket in the way I would like. So let's get back to the main question, the question we've all been asking, is Urethane truly for everyone? Now when I'm seeing all these pros on TV and big rev two-handers like my brother, they make Urethane look so easy. It looks like they can throw it basically on any pattern from anywhere. So with that being said, we wanted to see what Urethane would look like for the average bowler, kind of like myself, and hopefully my style resembles some of you bowlers out there too. Just to see if buying a Urethane ball is worth the investment as opposed to spending your hard-earned money on something like a reactive ball. For me, who bowls a couple tournaments a year and bowls in a couple challenge leagues, I think that having a Urethane ball is super important, especially as we move towards the shorter patterns and more challenging patterns. I really value being able to control the pocket and having that predictability that I saw with the Urethane balls here. I was able to stay right longer with the Urethane, which is my happy place, and even as I started to creep left, I knew that I could go to something like the UC3, have that controllability, but also see that back end motion. That being said, I also understand that Urethane might not be for everyone and may not be right for you at the time. If you're bowling in a league where you're only playing on house shots or maybe medium or longer patterns, maybe reactive should be the move. Personally, I think you should be exploring Urethane only if you're pretty confident in the rest of your reactive arsenal. As we saw here, the Urethane could be pretty pattern specific for lower rev players. It may not be as versatile as some of the reactive balls out there. So for me, at least, just because of the types of formats that I bowl in, I'm always gonna have a Urethane on me, whether it's the pitch black or the UC3. As of right now, I think I'm leaning towards the UC3 just because I like to see that controllability, but still have that back end motion, that bite, as I think it does suit my eye a lot better. So if you are a lower rev player like myself, looking to get your first Urethane ball, maybe look for something not as flat or as weak as the pitch black, but something with a little bit more bite. something like the UC3 here, we got the purple hammer, the radical double cross, tons of different urethane balls are coming out, so make sure to talk to your pro shop and see what's best for you. I think with something like this, you're truly getting the best of both worlds. You get the control that comes with urethane, but you don't get the same kind of uncontrollable, violent motion that you get with some reactives. As much as I love the pitch black here and balls like it, I think it's pretty one-dimensional for my style, and I need a very specific kind of situation or pattern to throw it consistently. It's a lot of bowling and a lot of talking from me. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you let me know down in the comments below kind of what your rev rate is, what urethane balls you're using, and whether or not you enjoy them. If you're really enjoying our content, please consider becoming a member by hitting the join button below. You'll get early access to all of our videos, plus coaching, merch, and a ton more perks. We got some exciting stuff coming up, so make sure to stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. It's closer. It's better. We'll get going.